Here's Ozzy's shit. What the hell is this?
Big thanks to NordVPN for sponsoring today's video. Game backups, cheat engines, emulators, save data modding, and even running Linux. There are so many things you can do with a jailbroken PS4, and I want to show you some cool big things as to why you might want to mod a PS4 of your own. Now,
yeah, a jailbroken PS4, you could probably do some crazy shit, especially like in an online game. Like I said that one time, I had a friend who literally erased a person's stats just because he invited him in a lobby. The person was talking shit, and then we were like, yo, come to our lobby, and we erased all his shit. So you could definitely do crazy shit like that with a modded PS4. And mind you, that was back with the PS3.
Making this video, I'm pretty much doing the fact that I'll never be able to work with somebody in the future, so I would really appreciate a like. So this is my special edition Spider-Man themed PS4 Pro, and this PS4 is special because it's running an exploitable firmware version that lets me run a jailbreak on it. Now, this video is for those people who saw this and thought, oh, I didn't know you could even jailbreak a PS4. These are starting to become a little hard to hunt down nowadays, and this is definitely not cheap, so I wanted to share it with you guys. But first, sponsor time. I need to pay for this PS4.
You saw how he flew?
NordVPN is a network tool that helps you encrypt and secure your online data. As someone who spends a lot of time on the internet, I found that people trying to get into my personal accounts actually jailbreak this thing. Well, unfortunately, it seems that the majority of people watching this won't be able to mod their own personal PS4 because Sony tends to be patching exploits almost constantly to make sure that jailbreaks don't happen. And that means you gotta be running a lower firmware version that had an exploit but wasn't patched in time. In this case, the highest jailbreakable firmware right now is 7.55, which was released in August of 2020. So, unless you have a PS4 that hasn't been updated or hooked up to the internet within a year, you're pretty much out of luck. But
damn.
I do have an upcoming video where
I updated my PS4 not that long ago. Sag.
Okay, but let's say you do happen to have a lower firmware PS4. What now? Well, jailbreaking is really straightforward, honestly, if you have the right firmware. So first and foremost, we do not connect to Sony servers now.
Sistro? Oh, I'm about to ask these bitches. Yo, my sister's hacking shit and they're not telling me?
Well, jailbreaking is really straightforward, honestly, if you have the right firmware. So first and foremost, we do not connect to Sony servers in any way, shape, or form at all. I'll get to why later. A lot of people tend to set their own DNS settings as to block any redirects to Sony servers or websites. But for the most part, jailbreaking is done through running an exploit on the PS4's built-in browser. There's no coincidence that the PS5 doesn't have one anymore. They just realized it's far too much trouble to maintain it if people are just going to keep trying to break it and break it and break it. So just log on to any hosting site that hosts these payloads, and in terms of payloads, there's usually two big ones, Mira and Goldhand. Mira tends to have the best success rate, but Goldhand seems to be more stable and has features like rest mode. You pick which one you want, and just let it do its thing. All these lines of code makes you feel like a real hacker, man, let me tell you. Now, it might fail a lot. Sometimes it works on the first try, and sometimes it takes like 3 or 4 times to be successful. But eventually it will go through, and once you see this, you're done.
It's that simple?
And once you leave the browser, everything may look the same, but the main reason people jailbreak is because of this. If you go to your settings, you see a brand new option called debug settings. And these are a bunch of settings that developers usually have access to. Now, you could go and check out the options here, but the majority of your time is going to be spent here in the package installer, which just straight up lets you install whatever you want on your PS4. Homebrew apps, modern update files, straight up full DLC and games. Like, if you happen to have a whole ass rip of a PS4 game downloaded off the internet or something, not that I condone that, no, own your games and everything first, you can just put that on an external drive, plug it into your PS4, and just install it. It'll run no problem. Here's me testing that with Sleeping Dogs. It was one of my favorite games back in the day. Not many people talk about this game, and that kind of makes me sad. Right, so I
do notice that a lot of people talk about Sleeping Dogs,
now you can install
but I feel like it's not enough. But then I heard that this game was really good.
There's a homebrew store that I installed. It's just an app that lets you see all the homebrew stuff that other people have made, like standalone emulators and cheat menus and stuff like that. Most notably is the media apps here. Since you need to be logged into PlayStation Network to actually use almost every streaming app on PS4, you can download these modified versions that bypasses that restriction. Now, obviously, you still need a subscription, but hey, no PSN. There's also RetroArch here that you can download, but you guys know how RetroArch works. You know what it does. It's not that crazy.
That's me.
You can install this on a brand new Xbox today without having to jailbreak it. But hold on, because I'm going to show you something later in this video that you straight up can't do on an Xbox. A quirk of a jailbroken PS4 is that, well, since we're not connecting to Sony servers, we can't update our game safely without risking updating our entire system, which would wipe the jailbreak. So there's an app called Patch Installer that just lets you grab any update version of any game so you can update or downgrade as you need. There's also PS4 Explorer, which is just a file explorer for your entire PS4. You can just look through all the files.
That's fire. You can just root it.
So you can remote
you can just look at the PlayStation files all rooted inside. That's amazing.
And Orbis Toolbox, which just gives you a bunch of more information about your PS4. CPU fan speed, clock speed, memory speed, all that stuff, including a bunch of stuff about your games and applications and all a bunch of other things.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay, a big thing that I was really looking forward to was just playing around with some mod menus and cheats on this thing. So let's talk about that. So you can use a web browser to access literally hundreds of games that all have different cheats and mod menus and all types of stuff. It's really as simple as just clicking a switch and enabling it.
Infinite HP.
And I spent like an hour just playing around with the developer menu in there. You can do things like enable demo mode, which just gives you unlimited ammo, god mode, stuff like that. Ever wanted to see what the game is doing in the background while it's loading? Check it out. I mean, I figured it was doing this, but it's just really neat to be able to see this in real time. You can also fly wherever you want, which is just neat to be able to see how the game works and how the developers design the levels and stuff.
Oh my god. This is literally the same shit that Boundary Break does. You could do it yourself now. We found the codes. Good luck, Boundary Break. Get ready for me to make a new YouTube channel after I get my PS4 and this wrap. It's gonna be called, I don't know, somebody in the chat gonna make it up, but now it's my turn to get 1 million subscribers.
Well, I'm gonna do a little digging of my own.
Hey, check it out. That window over there is broken.
Okay, let's see what we got.
The disc version 1.0 of Last of Us Part 2 has a hidden developer menu built into the code, but it has to be enabled with a trainer. It looks very similar to the Uncharted menu, so I think they just use the same one for all of their games. Okay, spoiler, in case you haven't beat the game already, I'm going to talk about some big spoilers here, so just look away right now. So I used the trainer to look at how to balance areas that I usually wasn't able to see, and it showed off some really interesting things that the designers make in order to make these levels.
Just The Last of Us 2.
There's a free camera mode, so you can look at any cutscenes from any perspective, and it really shows some neat tricks that developers do that you normally wouldn't be able to see.
Ellie, take out the driver!
The cool thing about these cheats is that using a payload like WebRTE, you don't have to switch back and forth to enable cheats for the web browser in the game, back and forth, back and forth. You can just do it from your phone. So, for example, you load up PS4trainer.com, you connect it to your PS4's IP, find the game, and just enable it, and off you go. Here's 1 million blood echoes on Bloodborne, right off your phone. Go level up as much as you want. Best part about these cheats is, and you're not going to believe this, is that it all technically does save to a save data file. So what you can do is take the save on your modded PS4, put it on a flash drive,
That's
plug it
fire
into
as
your PS5,
hell.
and
Just
it'll
off your phone
work.
in
It's
real
completely
time.
broken. So for example, I load up infinite money and infinite skill points on God of War.
Oh,
I
this
plug in
is
my flash drive
crazy.
and copy it over. Put it on my PS5. And look, a modded save running on my PS5. And theoretically, this could be done with any game that has a save file on it. Alright, the next thing that I want to show you is really, really interesting. Now, you might have noticed there's some footage that I used that looked a little bit weird, and there's a reason
You
for
said
that. So
Sony, yo, the Sony ninjas is gonna be knocking at this man's door. They're gonna be like, hey man, how's it going?
really talented people have made 60 FPS mods for a bunch of different games. The most notable ones are the games that have yet to have a PS5 patch. Now, for all those people that are just like, oh, you can't just switch up 2 lines of code in the game and just suddenly have 60 FPS, I got bad news for you guys.
You could change it to 60 frames? Actually? Is it literally just 2 lines of code to change it from 30 frames to 60 frames?
That's literally all you have to do. I'm oversimplifying here, but basically you take these 2 lines, find the lines in a hex editor that you have to replace, copy and paste the new code, save it as an update file, and install it to your game. And you're done. So games like Uncharted 4, which I really wish had a PS5 patch already, can run at an unlocked frame rate, albeit at a lower resolution, say 900p. Now it doesn't always hit a consistent 60 FPS, but there's no reason a PS5 wouldn't be able to.
Wow.
Now this was a big deal with me. I love Bloodborne, and I can't wait for the upcoming sequel. No, not that one. That one, yeah.
Bro, everyone gassing up Bloodborne. Yo, I can't wait till I play this game. And when Tainted's bitch ass comes in the chat, talk about Bloodborne this, Bloodborne that. If this game is not gas, I know he lives in New York. I'ma find him. And when I find him, I'ma force him to watch that 4-hour DC movie while I leave.
Anyways, it just sucks because most Souls games are usually 60 FPS, except for Bloodborne. Well, using a patch made by this guy, we can get it running at a mostly smooth 60 FPS. Now, it's not the best way to play it. I mean, it's running at 720p, and this is on a PS4 Pro, but just getting a taste of what it's like to see Bloodborne run the way it was supposed to be played is just really neat, and I fell in love with the way it looked. But what do you think? Do you prefer this look, even if it's unstable, or do you prefer a solid, consistent 30 frames? Either way, there's no reason you shouldn't be able to have both on PS5. Anyways, I just thought this was interesting to see for myself because, you know, from the way that other people talk about it, I used to think there was this massive process and a bunch of coding needed to get it running at 60 frames for next-gen patch, but I guess not. I mean, maybe there's some other reason they don't want to push out updates for these games. So let's talk emulation. The PS5 kind of dropped the ball on backwards compatibility, if I'm being honest. Only PS4 and PS5 titles. That's it. And PS Now barely counts in my opinion. PS4 was a little bit better at this. You could buy digital versions of the PS2 and PS1 classics, but the list is so small. I mean, there's only about 55 games for the PS2. But now we know for sure that in some form or another, Sony does have a PS2 emulator somewhere. Well, using a program called PS2 FPKG, we can take any copy of a PS2 ROM and convert it into a PKG so you can run it using the PS4's built-in emulator. It even has support for things like multi-disc games, there's options for adding custom save data, upscale and widescreen settings, fast-forward options, and even a way to bring key bindings to a PS Vita if you want to play this using remote play. Once you pick out all your options, you create the PKG file, load it on a flash drive, and just install it. I tested out a couple games here. The first one I wanted to test out was Def Jam 5 from New York. If you didn't play this as a kid, we can't be friends. I'm sorry. But it runs 100% with
Damn,
zero
I've
issues
never
at all,
played
and
this game.
It's crazy to think that this is all running on a PS4. Now, I'm not gonna lie, compatibility is all over the place. It can range from some games running perfectly to some having graphical error or two, or just having a low frame rate, to some just straight up not running at all. But personally, I would have been okay with just having the option. But what do you think? Would you be okay with an open PS2 emulator, even if it meant that there's a chance that your favorite games might not work? Or would you prefer the way it is right now, where only certain games can be purchased, but you can guarantee that the games are compatible? Now here's a big one. Using a payload, you can actually run full-fledged Linux on your PS4. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, oh, I've heard this before, and yeah, remember that one time Sony let you run Linux on PS3s until they just said, oh, never mind. Only issue is, and you're gonna hate me for this, I could not for the life of me get it to work on my PS4. I tried for a week straight diagnosing everything. I went through different hard drives, kernels, distros, trying to figure it out, and it would just not boot. Every time I would try to load into Linux, this is what would happen. It's just very unstable, so I'm just gonna borrow Modern Warfare's footage. His guides have been a big help with this video, so definitely go check out his channel if you're interested in modding PS4s. So as far as what you can do with Linux, it's straight up a regular computer. You can do all the computer
Bro,
stuff
why
with,
is that apple
but
a square?
You can also run things like Dolphin, which has a Linux port that works all right on the PS4. You can also run Steam on Linux, which, yeah, native Linux ported games will work just fine, but using Steam Proton, you can run native Windows games no problem. And yes, you can even run Cemu, which is a straight up Wii U emulator, so you can play Wii U games on your PS4. How's that for meta? Now, in terms of performance, it seems for whatever reason,
imagine me beating your ass in Mario Kart on my PS4, modded PS4. Watch Gonzalo say something in the chat. But you're not gonna beat us because we always beat you.
PS4 Pros somehow have worse performance than just a stock PS4, so hopefully they get that fixed up soon. But this is a really neat feature, and while I wasn't able to try it out myself,
You can play
I still wanted to
Xenoblade
show
Chronicles on the PS4.
Okay, so a lot of you probably have some questions at this point, so let's go over a few of them. Will my account be banned for doing this? No.
Yes.
Since you're not connected to Sony's PlayStation Network, they
Oh, yeah,
typically
true.
don't care which is on your machine.
Only
as
if
long
you
as it's not on
connect.
their servers. Can I still play online with a jailbroken PS4? No. You need the latest PS4 firmware to play online, which right now is 8.52. There's just no way around it. And people in the scene have no interest in making jailbreaks with PSN support anyway, so playing online with a jailbroken PS4 is likely never going to happen. Now, just because you can't connect to PSN doesn't mean you can't be connected to the internet. So yes, you can still use a browser, you can still use remote play, you can still use Netflix and Hulu with the proper homebrew apps, etc. But you can't exactly hop on a COD match and play with your buddies. Okay, is there a jailbreak available for 8.52? No. The latest firmware that has a jailbreak is 7.55 at the time of this video. How long will it take for them to find a jailbreak for 8.52? It's hard to say. Last time there was about a year gap in between the last jailbreak release and the current one. And the reason they're so rare is because Sony actively incentivizes developers to report any exploits that they might find on the system, only disclosing them to the public months after they've already been patched. That's because Sony has a bounty program that'll pay developers if they can find and report exploits, with some bounties paying as much as $50,000 per exploit. Now, Sony's paid bounties are public, so you can go see right now how much Sony is paying out. So ask yourself, if you were sitting on an exploit that nobody else knew about, would you release it to the public, have devs play around with it, and let it get patched in like 2 days, all for it to be pointless? Or would you snitch and cash out that $15,000 bounty that Sony would give you?
Yo, nah, I was snitch. I'm sorry. If you were that good at finding exploits, and then you're thinking to yourself, do I release it for free to the community or get 15K? I'll be like, fuck the community. 15K easy in my fucking bank account? That's beautiful money right there.
This is pretty clear here. Okay, is there any way to downgrade your PS4 7.55? No. Well, technically yes. You do have to have backed up a lower firmware update on your PS4. How do you do that? Well, first you make a copy of your internal PS4 drive, usually using a SATA to USB adapter. Then you have to back up your S/0 file, which is done by desoldering the NOR chip inside your PS4, then using an E4 flasher to apply power to the chip to dump the file.
Oh, no, that's too much work. I ain't doing all that.
Yeah, okay, so let's move on. Is it worth it to buy a PS4 just to jailbreak it?
That's too much
I'll
work.
pass that answer on to you guys. Now that you know what's possible with a jailbreak
Motherfucker
PS4,
talking about
emulators,
soldering.
running games and cheat menus, native
I'm
PS2
good.
package support, running Linux, Steam games, etc. Do you feel like it's worth keeping a PS4 for this? Would you buy a separate PS4 just for tinkering, or would you keep your old one without updating it in hopes of a new jailbreak? Let me know in the comments. I love reading your guys' responses.
That's the dude talking? Man, this guy got long, luscious hair. Jesus Christ. Talk about Pantene commercial. Maybe it's Maybelline. I'll come back here retro saying he a snitch. Oh, nah. Oh, of course. If I'm getting 15K for that bitch, I'm snitching out my ass. 15 to 50K for coming out with an exploit and then just handing it over to Sony? Definitely. Off topic. There's a Xenoblade 3 copy out in the wild on the internet that can be played on a hack Switch. Oh, no. We already had somebody in here talk about that they're playing this shit right now, actually, Zav. A few people on the Discord server been able to play it early. Oh, of course. We've already had people come here and talk about it. It's fine. I mean, you guys are definitely going to enjoy the game now. Me, I'm not. It's going to take at least an extra month and some change for me to even play the game, realistically speaking. But, if anything, it's going to be good because then when I play the game, I'm not going to have people in my chat talking about, oh, I don't want to get spoiled, because then I'm going to be like, hey, you can't get spoiled anymore because you should have played the game by now. And anyway, to be honest, I'm the type of person that likes to play the game a little bit of time after it's released, just so, you know, just so more people could go see it, because a lot of people don't like to get spoiled, and we're just going to have a good time. Big Chungus extra large, thank you for the resub. Oh my god, for 22 months. Thank you, baby. I appreciate it. Thank you for the support. Playing a mid game early and hacked. Hey man, hey, I don't think it's gonna be mid. I think Xenoblade 3 is gonna be really good. But a lot of people were talking about, is it gonna be game of the year contender? Look, depending on how good the story is and how everything else is, it could potentially go up against Elden Ring. Will it beat Elden Ring? I don't know. I don't know. Great video. Is that Claude with his wyvern? That's pretty.